I'm remarrying her, so divorce me. I've been supporting our life until you should be all right with $0 alimony, right?
My husband keeps talking to me as if everything is as usual. I was so disgusted with him.
Fine, in return.
He accepted my suggestion without any hesitation, but he seems to not know that he is who loses. My name is Leah. I'm a 38-year-old she. My husband, Sam, and I have been married for 10 years. We first met at our workplace. We both knew each other as colleagues for the same company. We were working on a project together, so we worked more and more on the same. We naturally got closer. We started going out for drinks and then started dating. After about a year and a half of dating, he proposed to me and we got married. He told me that once we were married, he wanted me to be a stay-at-home wife. I loved my job, but I also wanted to experience being a housewife. So I decided to leave my job for good. At the wedding, many people, including friends and colleagues, congratulated me, and I was able to have a very happy day. My newlywed life with my husband was enjoyable, and I worked hard at home every day to be a good wife. I bought cookbooks, cooked many dishes, and improved my skills. My husband seemed always to be happy how delicious my food tasted, and he worked very hard at his job. When we were both working, I was pa, little more than he was. But now he brings in the same amount of money as I did back then. So I decided to save money as a housewife. I looked up a lot of money-saving tips on the internet and YouTube and referred to them. I cut fixed costs as much as I could, food expenses at a reasonable level. Thanks to these efforts, I was able quite a lot of money every month. Well, my husband lightly lamented that he'd like to have a little more pocket money. But I'll let him off the hook for this one. It's a problem that every married guy has to deal with. After that, I continued to work as a housewife, doing household chores and saving money. I think a big part of the reason I so well was that my husband praised me for my efforts.
Thank you for always working so hard, care of the household. I can focus on my work with peace one.
He thanked me by saying that when he said that to me, it makes me want to work even harder. Even after a few years of marriage, still able to lead a peaceful and a married life. Then my husband suggested that we buy a house.
The room we're living in now isn't too inconvenient, but it's a little too small for two people. I think it's time to move into a new home.
I agree with my husband. The reason we had been saving so much was to make a big purchase like this. I had always wanted a home of my own. We decided to buy a house, so we went to a real estate agent, and we looked at a lot of different properties. Among them, we came across a property seemed intuitively good. My husband wanted to buy a house with a room of his own. And if the house is close to a trail, he said he would let me decide. That house already met my husband's requirements, so we decided immediately to buy it. We paid the down payment with the money we had saved, and we took out a loan and moved right in. The life in the new house was comfortable and fresh. My husband and I were very happy, and I felt the same excitement as when we were newlyweds. When we first moved in, we had a lot. We invited each other's friends and parties. We enjoyed our life in the new house. Of course, I have continued to save since then, and I am saving for the monthly mortgage was just a little less than the rent we had been paying at our former house, so not much has changed in terms of what I do to save. Our lifestyle hasn't changed, but six live in a comfortable and big house. Could we not be happy? And so we had a harmonious married, but there was one problem, that we still didn't have a baby. Neither my husband nor I were in any particular hurry to have children. We just waited for things to happen naturally, thinking that children are a gift from heaven. However, as expected, after about F of marriage, I started getting impatient because we couldn't have children. We tried fertility treatments and control, but it didn't seem to work. So my husband and I took some tests. We found out that my husband was having difficulty having children. His sperm count was low. We were a little shocked. He apologized to me and said he was, but that doesn't make me hate him.
I don't have any regrets because we do it after all we did. From now on, let's have a happy life as a couple.
When I said that, my husband nodded and said thank you with tears in his. From then on, we decided to live like a couple. And now we are celebrating our 10th anniversary without any trouble.
What should we do for our next wedding anniversary?
Well, we could take a trip, go to a restaurant, could do something a little extravagant, or we could take the plunge and go overseas trip.
We were having a good time talking anniversary like that. As a result, we decided to stay at a hotel in the US. However, about a month before our anniversary, my husband apologized to me that he had to go on a business that he couldn't go on our anniversary.
I see, but if it's a business trip, we do.
I was sad, but our anniversary was weekday, so I couldn't force him to day off. My husband was promoted to section 5 years ago, and he still work hard. I hear his subordinates rely on him, so I can't force him to neglect his. Even if we couldn't go on the day 1 anniversary, I was hoping to go on shortly. However, the booked hotel was so poor, it was already booked for this month. We had no choice but to make a reservation for the next month. At that time, I had no idea that it would later turn out like that. Then one day, a little while later, my husband came home unusually drunk. He was so drunk that he immediately on the couch. He was saying something, but it didn't sound like a word. Anyway, I prepared him a glass of water, and he had already fallen asleep. It was Friday, so he must have been with his subordinates. At that moment, his phone lit up, and a message appeared on the screen. I had no intention of looking at it, but I saw a heart emoji in the message. Couldn't help but stare at it. There was a woman's name, Mary, in the message. The message was only partially visible. I had a great day, followed by a heart sign. What does this mean? Is my husband having an affair? My husband's phone is locked with, so I can't open the message. I was all at once in a state of bewilderment, but I wanted to believe in what we together over the years. So I couldn't question my husband about his whereabouts. Well, maybe I was a coward. Instead, I decided to ask a credit investigate. The results of the investigation could not have been more clear. My husband was on business. It was also the day of our 10th wedding anniversary. I didn't expect to be alone on this celebrating day. I never thought that I would be looking at the documents of my husband's infidelity investigation results. And when I saw the documents, I was astonished. My husband was having an affair, but it had already been a year. My husband had never shown any signs of an affair, but he was having an affair with didn't know behind my back. He had betrayed me. This fact weighed heavily on me. I had promised my husband that even if we couldn't have children, I would still stay with him. But it wasn't the same for him. The other woman was a young female 10 years younger than me. In short, he laid his hands on his subordinate. I couldn't believe it. My anger at my husband rose, and my hymn faded out completely. My husband told me he was on a bus. Maybe he was on an affair trip with his lover. Come to think of it, my husband had made a reservation at the hotel by himself. If my husband is having an affair or wedding anniversary, it would suck. But since I'm not sure whether it's useless to think about it, For now, I decided to prepare for, first, I need to find a job. 10 years ago, I quit my job. It won't be easy to find a new one. So I decided to look for a job as possible and go for an interview. I decided to move back in with my parents after getting divorced, so I looked for a place that was easy to commute from my parents' house. I found a small accounting firm that was looking for a part-time position. I had a bookkeeping degree, so I decided to apply. I applied online and was contacted immediately and asked for an interview the very next day. I hurriedly prepared my resume and the interview. The president of the company who interviewed me had a good impression of me. I was thankful that I got the job lessened my mental burden so much. I then packed my bags and was ready home right away. And then my husband came home after his business trip, but my husband was not alone. I caught a glimpse of a woman behind. I had a bad feeling about this, but cool for now, and asked my husband,
Who is this woman?
and then my husband said this without hesitation.
She's my new wife.
When my husband said that, the woman showed her face to me. Her face was the same as that in the photo evidence sent to me by the police. I couldn't believe that my husband has loved her home. Both of them have suitcases in their hands. This means that my husband was not on a business trip, but on an adventurous after all. The adulterer stared at me with a twisted look on her face, and then my husband made a startling statement.
She is pregnant with my child. I'm going to marry her again, and you're going to divorce me.
What? What are you talking about?
I was surprised that his lover was with my husband's child, but they thought that I'm shocked my husband wants to divorce me.
It means Sam was meant to be with me, not you.
Mary and I love each other. I'm sorry you're going through this need to leave.
I'm beyond angry. I'm appalled.
So you're gonna break up with me?
I pretend to be shocked.
But how could you afford to have with the allowance I was giving you, you couldn't have afforded that.
Then my husband made a surprising threat.
It's not like I was giving you my entire salary.
When I didn't understand what he meant, he smiled and opened his mouth.
In your mind, Sam may be a section, but actually, he became a department head last year. So he gave you his salary as a sect, and he kept the rest for the dating with me.
Oh, no.
The more I dig the hole, the more I find out about my husband's behavior. I, was ashamed that I swore to spend of my life with this man. Firstly, my husband was a little hesitant to tell me all of this, but was sure that I wouldn't get angry or upset, so he became more open.
Well, as it turned out, Mary was pregnant with my child. I have to take responsibility for my actions. I've been supporting our lives, so I'm willing to pay zero alimony to... You've had it easy as a housewife.
My husband says this without a hint apology. I was so disgusted with him.
Fine, in return, can I have all the divisions, the money we've saved during our Mar the house, etc.?
When I said that, he just said yes.
I don't think you could save that my salary as a section chief, and this house wasn't that expensive either, so we could buy it sooner.
My husband readily accepted my request, but he still doesn't know which one of us will lose more from this divorce. I took the divorce papers he brought, signed them.
Okay, I 11 file it myself.
Okay, thank God you're so understanding.
I'm glad you were able to get a divorce easily.
The adulteress said that and tangled herself in my husband's arms as if to show. But I no longer felt any regret out of such a thing, because I was certainly getting more the divorce than he was. My husband immediately packed up his belongings and left the house with the adulterer. After that, I filed for divorce and all the procedures. For dividing the name change of the house, I became a stranger to my husband. A month later, I received a call from my ex-husband out of the blue.
Hey, what are you doing?
What do you mean you call me out of one and yell at me?
You're kidding me? You told my company about my affair? I got a barrage of criticism from upper management and my coworkers, and I was demoted from my current position and got transferred to a regional department.
Oops, but I didn't tell the company. The company you work for is also my employer, and some of your colleagues are good friends of mine. I'm sure it is because I talked to them.
You're a bad judge of character. Just because your life is miserable, you don't need to make mine miserable too. And why aren't you at that house? When I visited you earlier, I was surprised to see a stranger there.
Yeah, because I sold the house.
Sold? Why would you waste like that?
You probably didn't know. I happen to have information that price in that area was going up. So I was able to sell it for a lot we paid for it. And when you said earlier that my one be miserable, you were wrong. I worked very hard to save money on the salary you were giving me. I saved close to 10 million after buying the house. That's why I won more than just getting and doing the usual division of property. Everything happened because you were 6 and a fair. Also, don't you remember that you had that makes it difficult to have a... Is your lover really pregnant with child?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
My ex-husband seems to have forgotten it because we found out about it is so late.
Wait, Mary is meeting another man?
I don't know, but why don't you look? Anyway, I don't want you to get into me anymore. If you ever show up in front of me, I'll call the police.
With that, I hung up the phone and dialed my ex-husband's number. Later, I heard from my former coworker. The baby Sam's lover is pregnant with a fact, not his child. Sam got angry that he was deceived up with his lover, but he lost a lot. He can no longer get promoted at the... And we couldn't have used the savings to buy a house together, but he ruined it by himself. Now, he's working in a local department where he doesn't know anyone. On the one hand, I'm living with my parents for the first time in a while. I'm working hard at the accounting. I'm going to invest the large amount I've earned this time in furthering my assets, and I will continue studying more and more about it. And in the near future, I hope to become a full-time employee. As for my love life, I 11 take my tea. Hope to meet the right person. For now, I'm going to focus on work and family time.
Despite knowing that her husband could have a child, she decided to stay with him. So it sucks that he betrayed her. I think she deserved to get all the savings, her house, everything. That's how much she supported her shitty husband. And from now on, her main focus should be enriching her own life. I hope she will have a happy life.